Chapter 23. The path was leading them to the top of a mountain. They could see the valley below. She looked longingly at it, remembering all she had felt and learned. "Do you think they are back to Asteria yet?" she asked. "Yes, I think they are all going to be okay," Grade answered. "That's not what I asked," she said, confused. Grade smiled. He continued up the mountain, letting her have a moment of reflection. One last look, and she turned to finish the climb. "Tilly, I found something." Hurrying to Grade, she found him kneeling next to a stone box. "What is it?" "I was waiting for you." He smiled and opened it to reveal a pile of pendants like the ones they wore. They looked at each other, understandingly. It surprised her how much she didn't want to leave her pendant. It symbolized so much to her. Grade took his pendant off. "I am glad I get to keep the memories." He was right, and she knew it, but it still hurt to take it off. "I feel like I can't breathe," she said. "That's not from leaving the pendant," he smiled gently. Placing them in the box and restoring the cover, a door in the mountain opened. It reminded her of the cave, and her heart leaped, remembering him. She eagerly walked forward. The door closed. The room they were in was beautiful. It was brightly lit and welcoming. They walked to the table in the middle of the room. A long scroll lay across the table, and a quill was in a jar of gold liquid. They looked at the scroll, which had names written in beautiful calligraphy. "These must be the names of those who have made it this far." She gasped. "Joseph," she said, pointing out his name. "I wonder what happened to him, to all of them," she said, not realizing she was whispering. "I'm sure we are about to find out," Grade said, reaching for the quill. Before he could, it lifted itself and beautifully wrote Timur and Maeve. "I think I have seen that word before," she said, confused. Grade nodded. "In the fire." "Yes," she gasped. "How did you know?" "I saw Maeve, but it didn't make sense until we met the other Maeve." Realization dawned on her. "Your name is Timur?" "Yes." "Why?" She grappled with which question she should ask first. "I chose my name in honor of someone. You chose yours for a different reason." "Oh," she said. "Great is the old man's name that picked you." She didn't finish. "Yes." "Anything else we should know about each other before we get started?" she laughed. "I think we've seen the rest." Looking back at the scroll, they noticed an hourglass that had already started emptying. "What if time works like the tower?" she asked, alarmed. "Then we better hurry," he said as they started running up the stairs. They knew they should have part of 2 days, but even as they ran, they knew the time was running out. They saw a beautiful golden door at the end of a long hallway. As they started to run towards it, she stopped. "I have to go back," she said. "For what?" Grade asked. "The scroll." "Why? There isn't time." "You open the door. If I'm not back, go without me." She did not wait for his response. "Stubborn," she said when she realized he descended with her. Grabbing the scroll, they ran back towards the stairs. She had seen the hourglass and knew they probably wouldn't make it. "Please, Grade, you are faster. Go open the door and go through if you can," she pleaded. "I will open it," he said, and she knew he wouldn't go without her. Running down the hall, she watched Grade open the door. She could see the blackness behind it. His cloak was different, and as she ran, she could feel hers was also different. It was as if the cloak had become part of them. "Go," she yelled as she knew the time was up. "I will, after you." She jumped through the closing distance, feeling him jump right after her. She was falling into the darkness. Her arms were out beside her, as she plummeted further into the darkness, and she could hear the scroll fluttering next to her. Had the others found a key too? Had they made it that far? Even as she asked, she knew they had entered, but not exited. She was glad the time there had been so short. It must have been hard for them to find the door, but have no way of opening it. She kept falling. Like through the mirror, she was not afraid. Why had she taken the scroll? She knew the answer. She didn't want them to be forgotten. She burst through the darkness and saw a majestic world of vivid colors, and she could hear the musicless music as she continued to fall. There was endless water, and she knew she would go through it. She did not feel the splash, but marveled at the splendor as she continued to fall. It had been beautiful, like a dream, more than she ever could have envisioned. Page break. She heard excited voices talking. Layla's coming. She did it. Well done, my rosebud. We have been waiting for you, little one.